以后的小朋友让大家都能够得到就是自己心目中的 high school 的admission。OK， 所以今天呢，我们希望是一个非常轻松愉快的经验交流会，欢迎大家的参与。但是由于我们有些 speaker 还有 audience 他们可能中文都不太好，所以我们接下来的整个 workshop 将会以英文的形式来进行。我们等大家落座以后，我们就正式开始，好吧？All right, let's start. Welcome to 2022 College Admission and High School Planning Workshop. It is hosted by UCAFM Youth Program. My name is Lan Hu. I will be your host tonight. Welcome, everybody. Now, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for our Red River Valley Chinese Christian Church to providing this nice facility so we can be here for the workshop. And sitting with me on the stage are our speakers today. So they are high school graduates, outstanding 2022 high school graduates, and they are also volunteer teachers for our math club. Let's say hi to the audience. Hi. Yeah, maybe before the workshop, why introduce yourself a little bit? Just tell us your name, the high school you graduated from, and the college you will attend in fall semester.
Oh, hi, I guess I'm starting. My name is Grace Widjaja. I have not yet graduated. We graduate in about a week from West Fargo Cheyenne High School, and I will be attending University of Rochester to double major in biochemistry and music performance on viola in the fall.
Hello, thank you. Hi, my name is Sherry Yan, and I also hail from Cheyenne High School. I graduate in 4 days, technically 4 school days, and thanks, Grace. Anyway, I will be attending Stanford University in the fall with a focus in computer science.
All right, hello, my name is Aaron. I'm from Davies High School in Fargo. I will be attending the Georgia Institute for Technology for civil engineering.
Hello, my name is Spring Ma, and I'm from North High School. I'm going to Georgetown University, their School of Foreign Service, to study international politics.
Hi, I'm Samir Colbert. I'm also a senior at Davies, and I will be going to Columbia to pursue computer science.
All right, thank you so much. And we want to say congratulations for completing your high school and being admitted to your dream college. This is a huge achievement. And I also want to say thank you for being volunteers to our math program. There we go. The kids really enjoy your class. Love it. Thank you so much. All right, now let's jump into the workshop. And here is our agenda. Our speakers prepared 6 topics today, and each of them will lead one of the topic or 2 topics, and the others will fill up the gaps, share different experience or opinions. And the last one is a Q&A session. But during the speech, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and bring it up. And our speakers will be glad to answer that, right? Okay, great. And after the workshop, we will have a potluck party, which is 5 to 7. Because of the cold weather, we're going to have the party downstairs. So thank you again for Red River Valley Chinese Christian Church to provide the nice facility for us. All right, now let's start the workshop. First one, Samir.
Okay, yeah. So as it says, college can be very daunting. So let's go over how you apply. Okay, so first your application sites. That's the most basic part. Most places will have you apply through the Common App. It's not the hardest. There's only one personal essay, but then each college has their own individual questions that's common throughout each. Then the Coalition app is mainly for Washington schools. Then you have the UC app, which is for Caltech and a bunch of California schools. And then some schools like MIT have their own individual application that you need to fill out. Just so make sure you double check before you apply. So what's in the Common App? That's going to be your profile, which is general information, family, education, which is 5 honors, which is like any awards you've gotten, testing, your SAT, ACT, and your AP exams, activities, 10 of them. That's like 10 sports, 10 like research opportunities, whatever you think is important there. Then there's one big essay, which is your personal essay. It goes to most schools. And then your courses and grades. Not every school requires that. So activities list. Okay, activities list. So each school allows 10 activities. What this is community service, volunteering, sports, clubs, academic activities, and hobbies, music, and more. This only allows like 150 characters in the description of each. So you need to be really concise with what you did and how you achieved that. Also, it includes any award spots, which can be literally any award. So for example, many of your students will get the ACT Scholars Award or AP Scholars, sorry. If you go log into your College Board account and look at your AP exams, once you've gotten some exams, it should tell you. I think you need to take 5 and you need to get like above a 3 on 5 of them or something, average above a 3, and that it should tell you there. Yeah, there are different levels. So the highest one I think is AP Scholar with distinction. And there are some other ones I really don't know about. Okay, so Common App essay prompts. Here are the ones that we got to choose from. I don't know, do they change every year? So allegedly they don't change every year. So I assume we'll send the PowerPoint out. Yeah, so if they'll be all out there. Also, you could probably Google them. These don't change. These are your personal essay. They need to be less than 650 words, I think. And then once you do that, it goes to every college. Schools in the Common App. Lots of schools, you can apply to 20 apparently, consist of questions from each school. So like certain colleges will make you write essays. Other colleges don't. There's sometimes some multiple choice. It's like, oh, what are you applying for? What do you want to major in? When are you applying for? Basic stuff. Recommenders and FERPA. You need to, you generally have 2 required recommenders, sometimes less. Generally, those are teachers that you like. Ask them ahead of time. Your teachers love you, trust me. They will write you good letters. You just have to ask them. The earlier the better because it gives them more time. And in general, applying early is better. And then you hit review, submit, you review your information, you submit it, and then you pay, and then the application gets sent to the college and you don't need to worry about it. So there are several different.
Not to cut you off, but could we go back to the Common App slide? So something I wanted to add about the Common App is that it is an application that you only need to fill out once. So that stuff that he was talking about, the personal information, your personal essay, those kinds of things only need to be filled out once. And then for each university that you apply to, some universities have unique questions and unique prompts specific to that college that you will need to answer. But in general, it's just the one thing that you fill out and then send out.
So there are several different admission types. Early decision, that's generally your like #1 school, the school that you really want to attend. That if you get accepted, you know that you're going to. it's binding, and it's so if you get accepted there, the assumption is that you will go there. There's restrictive early action, which is you can only apply to one school for it, but it's like non-binding. So if you get in, you still have an option of not going there. Early action, and that's, oh, you just apply early, so it's like you're in a priority pool, but it's also non-restrictive, and it has an earlier deadline. So all of those should have earlier deadlines than usual. Normally that's November 1st. Regular decision, it depends on your school. It can be anywhere from early January to like mid-February, I think, with my latest one. And so that's when most people apply. So like if you want to apply to like several different Ivy Leagues, you'd apply to one restrictive early that you like the most, and then the rest would be regular decision. And then rolling decision, things like NDSU and Alabama, and the decisions are returned in the order they are received. Some exceptions, UC schools only accept applications between the 1st of November and November 30th. Washington deadline is November 16th and only offers one deadline. Some of them have earlier deadlines, some of them have later. Just make sure when you're applying, you know the deadlines for each. Common App's really useful for that because it gives you like a red clock in the corner when you're looking at it, and it's like, this deadline's 3 days. So it's pretty easy. Yeah, I know I'm not the best at not procrastinating. So these guys are all laughing at me. So there are supplemental essays. This is like, why do you want to go into the major that you're applying for? Try and create a narrative. Lots of your essays, you want to create a narrative. That's like, I want to do this because in my childhood, something happened that made you interested. That's pretty cliche. There are obviously other things that you can add. I'm not great at writing. These guys probably are much better. But you do your best and hopefully you get it. So they also like a why us. So why do you want to go to a college? One thing that I recommend for that is either talking to people who are there or going on a campus tour if that's possible, because they will tell you like what they offer, and always ask their guides like what they like and what they like doing on like an evening or something on campus. And that'll be pretty, and they will let you, and then they will tell you, and then you can try to include that into your essay. Other weird essays that can happen, like I think there was one for Stanford that was like, explain your ideal roommate to us. So
Yeah, I like to ask something. When I was doing the application, there was a question that was like, if you met your roommate, what would you say to them? Like, write a letter to them. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is where the school wants you to have fun and be able to sort of like, they want to see your personality when you write. So everything else can just be like very formal, but then there are certain questions that are specifically meant for like, they want to see who you are behind the words, behind like all the statistics. Yeah, and so that question, like, definitely really fun to write. I bet it was super fun for them to read. So
yes, so exactly. There are a bunch that want to be formal. You want to like line this out. And your parents can help you with that. They'll be very good. If not, you can always have friends. I highly recommend having 1 or 2 friends read your essay to make sure it sounds like you. Because if your essay doesn't sound like you, your admission chances just fall. So you need to have like a personality in your essays, and I think everybody knows that. Okay, so letters of recommendation. These are not required for all. They are required for like 90%. I think I applied to one that didn't require them. Generally, it's 2 teachers. Schools generally want like 1 social studies English teacher and 1 science math teacher. That's for like bigger schools that can be like, we want you to do it this way. Some schools don't care. Then there are also like 2 optional recommenders, which can be anybody. So I worked at NDSU for a little bit, and I had my professor there write me an essay. Something like that. It could be a coach. It could be a leader of a volunteer group you're a part of. They can write you, and always ask your teachers in person, and that will, make them want to do it more and give you a better letter. And the last thing I have to say is that in general, applying a lot earlier with a little worse essay and application is going to be better than applying on the deadline with your best application. So in general, you want to apply as soon as you, not as soon as you can, but as soon as you feel comfortable applying. If that is the deadline, so be it, but try to do it as early as possible.
I like to add a thing about letters recommendation. So I don't know if these guys can agree with me, but when I was writing, well, I mean, not when I was writing, when I was asking for them, you really want to make sure that you actually have a pretty good connection with the teacher. It's not just like, oh, I just want my like math teacher to do it for me just because they're part, like they're, no, you need to like have like an actual connection with them, because sometimes that they don't always do this, but I was lucky enough to have teachers that kind of like sent me like a draft of a recommendation. So I kind of had a little bit of control in this area. But when I was like comparing them, and not to like diss the teachers, but like it was like it's like I chose my math teacher, and then I chose like my coach, and definitely like between the two of them, one of them was more like, she's really good at this, and it's like very super personal, and like she like really knows me, while the other one was just like pretty generic, and like schools want to see it would give you a really big advantage if you had that one letter of recommendation that was just like really good, you know, like all the other ones are just like required, but like you had one that was like really good and really personal, and the college can see that they like really know you, and you can make that connection with your teachers, then like like it's an element that they definitely want in their school. So
Any questions?
What amount of like questions, I mean, letters of recommendation to ask? How many is good?
Okay, so for me, it kind of depended what I wanted. I had 4 teachers write me a letter of recommendation, and then one was my professor. But it's up to you. I would recommend, so you obviously need 2. You need 2 100%. So make sure that you're friendly to at least 2 teachers. It's up to you. I would recommend 3 minimum. That way you can like mix and match. You're like, oh, this guy knows me in this area, and that's what I want to do at this school. And it's like, these 2 will write the best letters, but sometimes I need like a language arts teacher to do it for me, in which case you kind of need to add them. So it's more of a personal preference, but anywhere from like 2 to 6, I think, is a good amount.
Going off of what Samir was talking about, on the Common App, sometimes they will specifically ask for letters from teachers, letters from advisors, and letters from counselors. So that kind of helps narrow down who you should ask.
Oh yeah, 100%. You need to be like buddies with your counselor, because your counselor will always be on there. I don't think I've applied to a single application where the counselor is not a required essay.
definitely counselor is definitely a required essay. I mean, letter of recommendation. I guess like, I mean, I had 3 letters of recommendation, but I guess the thing I would like to just add to all of this is just that you also kind of want to make sure to like ask for letters recommendation pretty early on, you know? So because the whole mixing and matching thing only works if you already have them like under your belt, right? And the only way you can do that is to like ask for them super early on, give your teachers a lot of leeway, a lot of time to kind of like put their ideas on paper for you. Yeah, so literally just make sure that you do this really early on.
Just wanted to add something from what Grace said. So on the Common App, there's teachers, there's advisors. So your perspective for recommendations doesn't really need to just stay in your school. It can be like, say you do a community service and you've done it for 5, 4, 6 years, and or someone has known you since like you're a little child, and they would like love to write a recommendation for you, just like your parents. Ask them when you're in like a junior year or the beginning of senior year. I'm sure that if they can write a recommendation just like your teachers, that just is so personal for you and gives the aspects of you outside of school, it's definitely something that I think colleges would appreciate.
It's a website. So every application I think now is online. It's like half an application. And in this way, it's half the application, the rest is school specific. So like what it is your personal information, your grades, and like your personal essay. And that's the common app itself. And then each individual school on there has like a little section that has its own like small questions, which is what year do you want to go here? Where do you want to major? Here's like some school related questions that we want you to answer.
Yeah, the Common App is like an abbreviation for Common Application, so that could be a little confusing. I see the
Yeah.
no, it's definitely an app. It's definitely a website.
Aaron, there's a common app, right?
If you want to, you can download the actual common application like phone app on your phone or tablet, but you probably don't want to use that to apply to your schools. You use the online websites on your computer.
Aaron, answer truthfully. Did you download that app?
Yes, I personally do have the common app on my phone, but I did not use it at all to write my essays or whatever.
You wrote at least one. He had a question.
Could you please elaborate the time a little bit? Like a lot of things to prepare, and when do you prepare early? I know the letters definitely prepare early, but how early? Like, could you just give us a
Okay,
like a
yeah.
solid
So
time?
I
Thank
think the earliest that they release questions is early to mid-August. And I would say if you really want to be super, super serious and like this is super important, late October is the latest, I think. That would give you that early like bonus. But the deadline then is November, wait, not October, sorry, early mid September. There we go. That's the month I was looking for. Then October and November is when they start seeing like an incline. Like I've met people who worked at the office and literally their graph is like, oh, here's August, questions are released, September, October, November, and it just skyrockets. So if you can apply a couple weeks early to a month early, you're like, it's a smaller pool at that point and you're more likely to get an offer of acceptance. And then for regular decisions, I don't really think it matters when you submit because we'll have enough people at that point that it's whatever. Yeah.
So what's the strategic advantage of going with the early decision?
They give you some brownie points and it's a smaller pool.
So the probability of getting accepted is higher?
Generally, yes.
It just means okay. So when I was applying to Stanford, what my kind of view was, or like what I was told about it was just that early action was for those people who kind of like it's like Stanford was their first choice, and it's like the most qualified. Like usually the most qualified people, like the most confident people, like they apply for early action, and then the regular action is just like the bigger pool, and it's like maybe people who like it's like it's like the school is their second choice. So yeah, I would say that if you do early action, especially if it's binding or if it's something like that, it shows a school that like, yep, I want to go there, like really go there. And it's definitely an advantage, definitely.
A follow-up. So in terms of financial aid decisions, schools do not make those decisions later, right? I mean, until later.
Yes, financial aid is February, I think, is when you need to submit and they get it to you like March. Fun fact. Make sure you go on.
So the parents would have to make a decision in terms of whether or not to go without the benefit of information with regard to financial aid.
Oh, no. The decision for going there is May 1st generally. Yes. So you'll get your offer in like December to early January, and then you can choose to accept that offer in May. So once you've gotten an acceptance letter, it stands until that May deadline.
But if it's binding, that means you have to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the legality on
And
that
then
one.
you have to make the decision without the benefit of information with regard to.
So, in that case, I would say if you really want to do the binding early decision, for a college, you really want to make sure that yes, this is a school I want to go to because this, and also financially, I can afford it, or financially, this is something that I know that I will be comfortable with because it is binding. Yeah, so when you do get an offer from an early decision school, you don't have the luxury of waiting to see what other options crop up because of financially, because, well, that's a lie. I think you do, but it's an extensive process to get out of a binding thing.
Yeah, in general, you will know whether you're accepted to that school before the regular decision deadline for any other school.
You just have to be
So-
really careful with binding. Yeah, typically, like, unless you for sure know that you want to go to that school, like it's your dream school since like second grade, then like do binding. But like other than that, like early action is better.
I would like to personally say that like the University of Maryland actually accepts like 96% of their incoming class for early action. So for some schools, you should probably make sure to get that research in and do that early action, because if you apply regular decision to the University of Maryland, you're going to be pretty unlikely to get in.
Yeah, and then some schools like Harvard are exactly the same, if not less, for early action, early decision. I'm pretty sure that's true. I read that somewhere. Any other questions?
Okay, I would like to add one more thing relating to the supplementary essays. So on like the application websites, when a college lists like an optional essay, those aren't really optional. You should definitely do them because it shows the university that you have the interest. But once again, when they give you optional essays, they're not really optional. You have to do all of it.
Do we want to talk about like interviews and
Oh, yes, I got a couple
okay,
of
and
those.
deferral letters and anything like that?
Did you? I can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So some colleges do interviews. I will tell you the interviews are not a huge factor, they say. It is more you are meeting with somebody who has gone there and they ask and answer your questions. It is not something you need to be stressed about. It is you are meeting somebody really cool from that school who had such a blast at that school that they're willing to work for them for free or something.
It's like an alumni. It's like an alumni thing. So
yeah, so I had a couple interviews and they were all great people. One of the ones we had to reschedule like 3 times. It was rough. But we met and it was fun, and it was a fine interview. They're all really nice people. They asked me some questions about like why this school, what are you trying to look for there? Why do you think this is a good choice? How are you going to affect this school in a positive manner? There are some very common interview questions that you can write down. I Googled them and that was most of the hard ones were on there. Just be able to think a little on your feet, because I got like one, which is like, if you had unlimited time, what would you do? And I was like, first couple of years, I'm having fun. After that, I'm probably going to I'll try to learn something, but you know, it's a lot more low key than you'd think it is. Like they show up in like shorts and a tee or
yeah,
online.
yeah. Simply put, the interviews, most of the interviews, not all of them, most of the interviews are from alumni, and they are conversations, not like a work interview, basically. So has anybody here actually had like a serious interview? Okay.
Any questions about interviews?
right, thank you, Samir, and the great comments. Oh, one more? Okay, go ahead.
Wait,
Sherry.
hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, okay, before we even, I'm so sorry. We literally just like thought about this one thing that we kind of forgot to put in the slides, but it's the different admission types, right? So you can get accepted, yay! You could get deferred, and you can get waitlisted, which is like, okay. Yeah, yeah, waitlisted, or you can get denied. So yeah, if you're accepted, great. Like you, now that college is basically, it's under your belt now. And then, did I say deferral? No, yeah, I just said, okay. So my Stanford thing was like journey was, I applied for early action, and I got deferred, which basically means they're saying we don't know about you yet. Like we like you, but we're not sure if you fit our school, right? So it's it's a very confusing thing for students because you're expecting to be like crying or like cheering, right? So when I got it, I was definitely like super confused. I asked around, I looked around, and based on my research, you just have to wait until they give you like their decision, which is around it's around like regular action. I mean regular decision. April 15th. Anyway, it's yeah.
And that's when it releases. And then if you're early, it's generally earlier, unless it's like a
Yeah, so basically it's basically you're going to be lumped in with like the regular decision people, but yeah. Stanford, it was advantageous to me because Stanford's like deferral policy is different from like Harvard or MIT or UPenn, because if you're deferred from Stanford, it's like they like you, like they really do like you. It's just like, and most of the deferred people actually like they do get in, and it's like it's almost kind of like a very uncertain yes. So I mean, I had that. Yeah, that's what deferral means. Grace, you do it.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing about waitlisting. I got waitlisted from both Columbia and Cornell. And from reading through that letter that they sent me, they were going to get back to me about my final decision sometime between May 2nd and mid-June, which is really scary considering that's typically past the deadline at which you have to respond to a college and say, respond to an offer for admission. So where I was at was I have these colleges that I did get accepted to, and this potential of maybe I will get in, maybe I won't after I finalize my decisions for the ones that I did get into. So that's kind of what Samir was saying when he said that waitlisting is a bit of a scam. It's a very big risk that I don't recommend taking. I looked at the waitlist letters and said, no, I'm not going to sit through that because that risks my chances of getting into a good college that I already did get into. So yeah.
Yeah, and apart from the apart from the gamble, it's a lot. So I got waitlisted on Harvard, got that back yesterday. Was a no. But basically I think so. Here's why I say it's a scam. It's a bit deeper. First thing, they don't need to do the wait list. They can be like everybody on there, no. So that's why I really don't like it. It's like you don't even need this. This is kind of just a lie. Get a better estimate to who's coming. The second thing is that the acceptance off the wait list is like non-existent. Also.
Right. They're like waitlists are almost offensive a little bit they really are.
They're bragging rights. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference between a deference?
Okay, so deferrals only happen in early action. Wait lists happen for regular decisions.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
deferrals are like I said, they're uncertain yeses. They're like the college really likes you. Wait lists are just like, college is saying, well, wait, whatever, whatever. Like it's it's kind of like it's really sad. Like I've been hurt. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between deferral letter. Deferral letter just means you have a chance. You
As
actually have a
someone who got
chance.
deferred and then rejected. Wow.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No. Shade.
It's a great discussion and a lot of interesting questions here. But unfortunately, we have 6 topics and only went through the first one. So let's move on. And after the workshop, we'll have the party. And that is another chance that you can extend your questions or conversations with our speakers and their parents as well. All right, let's move on. So our next topic is about high school course planning, AP test, and all the exams you want to take during high school, and extracurricular activities as well. And we have 3 leading speakers for those 2 topics. We have Amy and Grace and Sherry. Let's play the video for Amy first. Amy won't be here with us today, but she recorded a video for us.
Actually, we are recording for the events. So we will post the video on our YouTube channel later, and you guys can watch it later again.
I guess it's my turn now. Let's see if this will work. Does it work? Oh no!
Come on, Grace.
Ah! I did a thing bad.
Oh, maybe it's because we weren't clicked on because we were grabbing the Amy video.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
exit
why-
out of the presentation for a second.
Everyone, this is Amy Hong. I am a senior at South High School, and next year I will be attending the University of Pennsylvania to attend the Wharton School of Business. So today, unfortunately, I can't be with you in person, so I'm recording this video to talk about high school courses and extracurriculars that might be good to consider while you're in high school to prepare for college. So let's start off with high school courses. So something that a lot of people will say is that colleges want to see you challenge yourself, and that is definitely true. So that's something to definitely take into consideration while you're selecting high school courses. Not only should you pick courses that match with your interests, or maybe help you explore new things, you should also pick courses that will look impressive on your college application. So think about taking APs, think about taking honors courses if your school offers those kinds of classes. The more you take, the more you're challenging yourself, and not only are you challenging yourself with improving critical thinking and gaining new knowledge and more in-depth knowledge about many fields, colleges are also seeing that you're willing to put in the effort to take these higher courses, and that'll look far more impressive than getting straight A's in a lot of really easy courses. Even if you get maybe a B in an AP class, to a college, that's usually more impressive than getting an A in a really easy regular class. So maybe you're taking, say, 5 APs in 1 year in high school, and you get 1 or 2 Bs in those AP classes. That's much better than taking, let's say, 5 or 6 or 7 completely regular classes and getting a really good grades in all of them. Because in those regular classes where the class might be just far easier, colleges see that you're not challenging yourself as much as taking a lot of AP classes. So that's definitely something to take into consideration when selecting high school courses. Another thing to think about is that if you already have an idea of what you want to go into in the future, so for example, if you want to go into the medical field, then it's better to focus on AP classes or higher level courses that really match with that thing that you want to go into the future. So again, for example, if you want to go into the medical field, taking AP Government and AP Economics, those courses, they're still going to challenge you, and they're still really good classes to take, but it's not as helpful as taking AP Chemistry, AP Biology, AP Physics, AP Math, that sort of thing. So if you have an idea of what you want to go into the future, then take classes that match with what you want to go into. That'll be more helpful. It'll also give you a head start and give you more in-depth knowledge about those fields before you go into college or go into higher education. And also, I want to say that if you don't know what you want to do in the future yet, that is completely fine, and high school is a place where you have a lot of options and you have a lot of time to explore what you want to do. So maybe you can take a lot of AP classes, or maybe you can take a few classes that are not AP and they're just kind of like interest classes. Like you can take a cooking class, or you can take an IT class, or you can take orchestra, those sorts of things. As long as you're allowing yourself to explore and also challenge yourself, you'll probably find something that you really like. So, when you're entering high school, you don't have to have your life completely figured out. If you're in high school and you just want to try harder classes and test out what you like before really narrowing in on one thing, that is completely fine, and I would really encourage that as well. So that's what I would say about high school courses. But I also want to say, don't stress yourself out. If you just genuinely can't take if you genuinely can't handle taking 5 or 6 AP classes, don't push yourself to the brink. Still focus on your health, still focus on your own interests. Also have time for your extracurriculars. AP exams and AP classes, they're not the only thing that you should be focusing on. And if high school courses and high school academics are the only thing that you're spending your time on in high school, then colleges don't like that very much anyways, because that kind of, to them, it kind of looks like you're just too heavily involved in academics and you don't have interests outside of that. So while it's good to challenge yourself with taking higher level courses and maybe narrowing in on some of those higher level courses, if you know what you want to go into in the future, don't make that your life. So that's what I would say about high school courses. And about extracurriculars. Extracurriculars are, if you don't know what they are, they're basically activities or clubs or things like that you can do outside of classes. And they can be academic. So for example, if you're in Knowledge Bowl, that's kind of like Quiz Bowl, and you generally answer academic questions. So those are some academic extracurriculars, or they could be non-academic. So for example, if you're in a sport or you play an orchestra, those sorts of things. That has nothing to do with STEM, nothing to do with literature. It's non-academic. Depending on what you want to do, one of those academic extracurriculars could be more important than non-academic extracurriculars, or it could be the opposite way around. It just depends on what you want to go into. But in terms of aiming for college, I would say that well, it really depends on what college you're looking towards. If you really, really, really want to shoot for an Ivy League, or a school with a really low acceptance rate, those schools want spikes. Spikes are activities or just one or two activities that you're very good at. So, for example, you're in a math competition and you placed #1 in the region, or you won spelling bee, or you are the best figure skater in the Midwest, or you are really really good at water polo. Just really things that you're really good at and really accomplished in, and they make you stand out in those extracurriculars. Those are spikes, and those colleges with very low acceptance rates really want students with spikes. They don't want well-rounded students. It's good to be well-rounded, but for them it's better to be spiked, because they want students with spikes but classes that are well-rounded. So these students who are the best in their activities or things like that, they come together to make a very well-rounded class. For colleges that might have a slightly higher acceptance rate but still not very high, definitely shoot for more well-rounded, that sort of thing. So be involved in a lot of different clubs. Like you can join math club, but also be in orchestra, but also playing basketball. But those schools like a more well-rounded student more, so then they have more well-rounded students, and then that makes maybe a more like well-rounded class. So those are the differences between like a school with a very low acceptance rate and a school with a medium acceptance rate, and maybe how to tackle extracurriculars while taking that into consideration. So it's in summary, it's a difference between spike and well-rounded, and depending on the acceptance rate for that school. And something that I will say is that if you know what you want to do in the future, so again, with the I want to go into the medical field, like that example, try to find extracurriculars that really match with that. So for example, you can be involved in HOSA, which is a club for future doctors, I believe. I'm not involved in it, but it's something that would be really worth your while. So then, one, you can have more experience and knowledge in the field, and two, colleges know that you're really set on doing this in the future. So, again, picking those extracurriculars that match with your future interests, that would really be beneficial. And again, if you don't know what you want to do in the future, which is what I felt for quite some time as well, just go out there, explore things, find what you really like, and stick with it. And sticking with it is something else that I really want to point out. Colleges like consistency. They like it when you're in an activity for many, many years and you stick with it and you put effort into it. They can see when you're in activities just to check boxes off. So maybe John from New Jersey, he does debate, he does Congress, he's class president, he does all the things that check off the college list, but and those are the things that supposedly colleges really look for, but he's not. He only puts maybe 3 hours into each activity every week. It's not super involved. Well, not 3 hours. Maybe say like 1 hour every week in each of those activities. Not super involved. And maybe he dropped out of debate for 2 or 3 years and then maybe came back to it just because he felt like it was necessary for college. That example doesn't show consistency. It doesn't show you sticking to one or two things and just really putting all your effort into that and trying to and being passionate about those things. It just shows that you're trying to get into this college and you're just ticking off boxes. So I would say pick extracurriculars that you genuinely like. Don't pick extracurriculars just for the sake of going into college. Pick extracurriculars that would actually benefit you and your interests, and extracurriculars that you're good at. And colleges can see that passion when they're looking at your college application. So that's something else to take into consideration. And just to end my video, I do want to say that ultimately college isn't the only thing going on in your life, and do take your interests and what you like beyond high school courses or extracurriculars, still take those into consideration. And again, you are going to be successful wherever your life takes you. So just explore things and put yourself out of your comfort zone, whatever that means. And don't focus too much or be too pressured by college courses or extracurriculars or college, because in the end, things will work out and it'll be awesome. So yeah, again, I'm Amy. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this was informative and you learned something new. And best of luck. Hopefully in the future, I'll see you out in the work field doing amazing things. Have a nice day.
One thing I will say about activities is that in every activity, I think you should look at it and say, am I doing this for myself or am I doing this for someone else? And if the answer is someone else, drop the activity. If the answer is for you, keep going.
Is like a quality of high school, like not your grades, like the high school, like if the high school is not that well known, does that affect your chances of getting into a better college?
So that's where your standardized test, I would think.
So since we're in Fargo, I mean, I think unless you're like in the school and like best school and I'm thinking like Massachusetts or New York or like Pennsylvania, like the nation's best high schools, I think you might have almost like a guarantee for, because of the quality of our high school, you have a higher chance for a college. In terms of all the high schools in North Dakota, come to North High School. That's rated the best high school this year.
LOL, no.
2022, best high school in North Dakota, North High School.
Okay, no comments. No comments. But what great, but
What I mean is like all of the schools in North Dakota, they're kind of the same. And like what Samir said, you really have to show the schools through your standardized test that you have a certain academic excellence.
yeah, what Spring was kind of saying was describing was those schools are kind of like pipe schools. They're like, their purpose is to make you to like kind of push you towards, Ivy League or something like that. When you're in like a school where there's less resources, you could, it sounds bad, but you could take it, it just means that it's different. Like you could take advantage of that, and that is what makes you different. Besides, like it makes you like kind of stand a chance against all those people who do go to really good high schools.
So how exactly do you, like, is there like a way to apply for a scholarship or something?
Can we
scholarship.
We will get to that.
yeah, can we
will
just
get to
yeah,
that. Scholarships. Yep. Okay, so hi, my name is Grace, and I'm going to be continuing where Amy, well, not really where Amy left off. She talked about high school courses as well as extracurricular activities. So I'm going to be touching more on the high school planning part. So a lot of what we've been talking about up until this point was the college admission process. Now we're backtracking a bit and getting us, how do we get there in the first place? Say you're in middle school and you're just about to step foot into high school. How do I plan my high school career to give myself the best chance of getting into the college that I want to get into? So as far as courses go, I did put a note up there. Some high schools, especially in the West Fargo Public Schools District, are transitioning into what we call academy model. So when you think about high school for right now, you have like your general courses, you have your required courses that you need for graduation, and then you have your electives that you can just pick and choose from throughout your years in high school. But what we see at least in the West Fargo district, we're transitioning to a model that's more reminiscent of college in the sense that your required courses follow a certain pathway. So like say you're in the healthcare pathway, your courses would follow that. Say you're in the STEM pathway or maybe a business pathway or a technology pathway. So if you do go to a high school that follows an academy model, this might not be as helpful, but we didn't do anything in the academy system, so we're speaking from our experience in a general high school. Yeah, so kind of like what Amy was saying in her video, high school is meant to help you explore what you want to do, what you want to study in college. And you can go into high school in one of two positions. Either I know what I want to do, generally I have an idea of what I want to pursue, or I have no idea what I want to do at all. I am a small freshman and I am simply here to discover what high school even is. So let's look at the first one. Course planning if you do know what you want to do. In that case, great, you're already halfway there. You have an idea of what you want to do, so you can set up your courses accordingly. You can plan out your high school coursework not just based on your required graduation requirements, but also plan out your electives so that they follow a certain pathway. So that way, when you do reach the time for college applications and you write down your courses, the colleges would be able to see, okay, this person genuinely is interested in this certain pathway. And that's clearly evident in the electives that they chose throughout their 4 years of high school. So I threw up some examples up there. Say you're really interested in STEM as a freshman. Okay, so what STEM electives do they offer that you can take as a freshman? So dabble in a few of those. I know for me, I took Intro to Engineering my freshman year and tried that out. Discovered that I did not like it. Sad. Okay, so then my sophomore year, I was like, well, what about the health field? I mean, like, I kind of have some interest in the biomedical field. So basically just going into high school with the basis and an idea of what you were interested in, and then discovering whether you really like it or whether you don't like it, and then planning each year, consecutive year accordingly. And that kind of flows into the next point of, I don't really know what I want to do yet. And that's all right, because you can use your high school as a time to explore what kind of a person you are, what you like to do, what you don't like to do. So that way you're not stuck doing this thing for college where you're actually paying a lot of money to do this thing that you probably didn't really like in the first place. So my suggestion would be to make space in your schedule, especially your freshman and sophomore year, to explore different classes. Maybe business and finance classes, maybe computer science classes, maybe family and consumer science classes like culinary arts, any sort of elective that you might have an interest in. See where that takes you. Oh, I really do like this. Okay, so then your next few years, you can continue down that pathway and see what other related courses you could take. If you don't like it, go a different route. I would, kind of like what I was saying earlier, freshman and sophomore year are your best times to explore. Because A, that's when your coursework is generally the least rigorous. And B, that's when your time, just in general, throughout the year, gives you the most leeway to explore. Because by the time you hit junior and senior year, you're stuck studying for standardized tests, and senior year, you're stuck trying to apply for colleges. And also you basically run out of time at that point. And yeah. Any comments you want to make on this section? Good. Oh, yeah.
So is it possible you take some high school classes, like courses in middle school, so save some time in high school?
Yeah, you definitely can. So typically those courses though are for your graduation requirements. So that'd be like your accelerated math, maybe your accelerated English and reading courses. So that could be put towards your graduation requirements. But in terms of exploring what field that you want to go into, that's typically reserved for just high school itself. Okay, AP classes. So, let's see here. What Amy was saying about the APs is, and kind of what we would suggest too. Don't take APs for the sake of taking something hard. You know, you're just going to overwork yourself, and I feel like, yes, what Amy was saying about taking hard courses and doing well is better than taking easy courses and getting straight A's. But at the same time, you want to be conscious and kind to yourself. And don't burn yourself out if you don't need to. You need to save that energy for enjoying life in high school, and also save that energy so you can prepare yourself for college. If you get burnt out now, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced burnout at some point, everybody on this stage. It's not fun. Don't do it. Okay. So, but with AP courses, what they are in general, they're advanced placement courses sponsored by College Board. And they're nationally recognized coursework that count towards college credit after you take an exam. So exams are typically administered in May, and they're graded on a scale of 1 to 5 based on like a national curve. Students throughout the nation, they take this test, and the score that you get is in relation to, I guess, the average, kind of, very vaguely. But what? Yeah, so yes, they do kind of, it's a mixture of both. It's really complicated, but yeah, that. But basically, you're scored on a scale of 1 to 5, and 3 or above is passing. APs throughout the year, they are structured like a college course. They're designed to take you through the curriculum in a way that the colleges would probably do that. And that basically means more in-depth content, typically more rigorous, higher course load, and sometimes a faster pace that they go through the material. That is true. Once you are done, the good thing about taking APs is that once you're done with the exam, you just chill for the rest of it.
No, not really, because my AP bio class has me do 2 projects.
But does
and-
that count towards your credit? Like college credit?
Kind of, actually. Hey, stop!
Just go to a better school, I guess. Okay, so that was APs, and then we have our standardized tests. So that's your ACT and your SAT here in North Dakota. From our generation is kind of at a loss because it looks like they're slowly being phased out. The COVID pandemic, especially after that, the colleges have geared towards a more test optional. We say test optional in heavy quotations because test optional still doesn't really mean that it's optional. If you did well on standardized tests, you still want to put that in. It will boost your chances, but it looks like colleges are slowly not being quite as dependent on standardized test scores.
Yeah, so my reading into how colleges are doing is it's kind of like the interview. It can only help your application. And that's because for the last couple of years, going and taking the ACT, going and taking an AP exam, going and taking the SAT has been very challenging in some locations where COVID has hit especially hard. In those areas, they simply don't get that option. And so colleges are saying that, first of all, this is a one-time test. It's kind of shoddy anyways. But apart from that, it's no longer a fair playing ground like it was before. This might change in the next couple of years when you guys are going, but as of right now, the ACT does not play a huge part in your college admissions process.
But we will still talk about the ACT and the SAT, again, reminiscing on our experience being in high school, growing up in high school, studying for these exams, and then proceeding to realize that they don't really matter as much as they used to. Sad. So the ACT, I don't know what it stands for, but it stands for something. I don't know
Let's
what
not dwell on that. Just
anyway,
keep, yes,
that's
just
not
keep-
really quite as important. but there is a difference between the SAT and the ACT. So the ACT, excuse me, their test sections consist of a reading section, an English section, a math section, and also a science section. So that science and math kind of get like bunched together into like a sub-STEM score that is kind of just floating there. But there's also an optional writing portion. It's scored on a scale of 1 to 36. And typically you want to aim for above a 30. A 30 and above is a benchmark for you are definitely qualified in these sections. With the SAT, their test sections comprise of reading, writing and language, math, and then an optional writing section. It's scored on a scale of, this is the new scaling, it's scored on a scale of 400 to 1600, and it's above a 1400 is considered to be good. And I think deciding which one to take, in the past, you would want to take both, just so that you can show colleges, hey, this first time around wasn't a fluke. I can still do pretty well on standardized tests, regardless of which test I'm handed. But when it came to us, or for me, I decided to just take the ACT, partially because of the STEM. So for me, going into a field that's heavily science-based, biochemistry, I wanted to take the ACT because that played to my strengths, and also so colleges could see, okay, this person, their science section of the ACT did very well. Okay, so she's qualified to go into this field that she wants to go into. And yeah, I didn't take the SAT. You don't need to take both. But yeah, when it comes to studying for these, you want to study smart, not hard. Don't cram everything. The standardized tests are not testing on your knowledge. They're testing how you use what you know in a limited period of time. So when it comes to study tactics, whenever we're asked, like, how do you study for the SAT? How do you study for the ACT? A lot of it is take practice tests in like a time situation. So you're forcing yourself to apply what you do know, and you're teaching yourself to apply it rather than memorize a bunch of facts.
So I think if you decide to take a standardized test, you should, I think, at least take one ACT and SAT to see which one is easier for you. For me, the SAT is much easier because SAT gives you more time. Like they're kind of the same questions, but there's much more time in the reading section, I think, for SAT. So it just depends on how you go about things. And I think ACT might give you longer time on the math portion. So yeah, take both of them and see which one you like better, and then work on that.
Quickly with how studying, they only test up to algebra 2, so that will be rough. That's in algebra 1 alleged. Yeah, they changed it after our year. Yeah, it was really rough how to learn that. So they only test to algebra 2, and for almost everybody here, that will be really hard because you took algebra 2 as a freshman. And so how you study and how you warm yourself up for that is you log on to Khan Academy and you do what they say, because they will give you a practice test and they will give you all your material, and the SAT and the ACT are roughly the same in those areas. The science portion is graph comprehension. So if you can do that, you should be good for the science.
People taking algebra 2 as a freshman. Sherry and I going to West Fargo schools, we took algebra 2 as like juniors. So.
It's a secret.
Oh,
Why?
no, sorry. We were sophomores.
Samir.
Anyway. Yeah, so, and then just to like summarize everything up in terms of high school planning and standardized courses and APs, our general, at least our advice in general, please be kind to yourself. Don't just take hard courses for the sake of taking hard courses. Take courses for the sake of bettering your interests and furthering your self-discovery of your own self as a person. Like, for instance, like if it does relate to your field or actively prepares you for the future, cool, go for it. If it has absolutely nothing to do with what you are interested in, you're not interested in it at all, don't force yourself to take it. You're less likely to do well in that class, and then like it winds up looking bad on your college application anyway. So you'd be better off taking classes that are rigorous and actively prepare you for the future, but you are also interested in. So you can do well easier and it looks better in the college app. Yeah. And okay, so here's a big thing for incoming freshmen. Study hall or no study hall? What do I do? How do I plan the thing? So it this is a very common theme. It varies from case to case. I feel like when it comes to study halls, gosh,
They're a good idea. If you don't have a class, basically, if you don't have a class that like helps you decompress, like an art class or a music class or a PE, I really don't like PE, so that's not mine. But if you don't have a class that's like kind of easier to balance all of the hard things that you're doing, then take a study hall. It is worth it.
yeah. Oh yeah, so the idea behind a study hall is that it's just this class period where you sit and take that time to do your homework. It's not a class where you're actively being assigned things. It's time for you to catch up or to study or to do homework or really to do anything else that you need to get done.
Yeah, people take it and it's really helpful, especially if your life outside of school is just as hard as it is inside, because me and Grace do speech literally like it's so rigorous. I like go home, I'm so tired, I literally have no strength to study. So during just taking like 45 minutes during the school day, that class period for a study hall to like kind of just study and catch up, it really does help like academically.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say you do really bad on an AP test, and let's just say you get like a 2.0, right? So how important would that be on the things that colleges?
Okay, you're not gonna get the credit, that's for sure. But in terms of, I'm sorry. No, 2 is not passing. 2 is not passing. So, but I think, gosh, it really is a bit of a toss-up. I feel like APs, they haven't been as phased out quite as much as like standardized tests do, because colleges still do give credit based on how well you do on the APs. But in terms of admission in general, I wouldn't.
You have an option to not send in a score if it's like a 1 and you like are like, I have 1 and 4 5s. You can choose not to send that one in.
Yeah. So right. So those are just the stats. You could literally like AP tests are just there to kind of help you stress less during college because you'll get the credits. But otherwise they don't really like. I mean, there was one time there was SAT subject tests that allowed colleges to know what you actually like to do, but they are canceled, so you can't take those anymore. And AP tests are kind of the same, but I think it's more of the essays that like can, if you do get like, if you fear that the colleges question like you not putting in AP or SAT scores, then you can like you can be on the same like playing field if you like had really good essays and was able to like market yourself basically.
Do you have any requirements to apply for AP courses in high school?
Some of them do, depending on what school you go to. I know for us, the AP Sciences, you would have needed to take the normal course before you take the APs, but otherwise you can just talk to your counselor, and if they're like, yeah, you're good, they'll put you in.
You'll find the information for all your classes, not just AP classes, in your school handbooks, and they'll tell you the prerequisites, if necessary, that are needed for any class.
And I think that's where your counselors come in handy. I was able to take AP Physics without taking normal physics. Not a good idea, but you can do that.
Yeah, me too. I took
No, I
AP
didn't do
Physics as a
that,
first
but-
sophomore.
I don't know. But the thing is, you need to talk to your counselor, and then your counselor will talk to your principal to get, away your maneuvers around your curriculums. And whenever you will have schedule conflicts too, if you choose a lot of classes, and all of that, you need to consult with your counselor. And the more you discuss with them, like a tighter connection you have with them, it's never a bad thing. Thank you.
Should we move on? All right.
Yeah, great. Wait, what?
What? Okay, let me just figure out how this thing works. Okay, there are simple arrows. Sherry, I can do this. Okay, hi guys. My name is Sherry. Okay, cool. So I'll be talking more about extracurriculars. Despite what you might think, they are very important, and I'll just highlight some of the reasons why. So, extracurriculars, they build like well-rounded character and like precious experience, and in essence, they humanize you, right? So colleges will look at a student, all of their application, and yes, they'll look at your stats. If whether you have good stats or not, it boosts you. But ultimately, they look at what makes you a human in this world. You know, they don't want to see a robot being like admitted into their school, right? So extracurricular activities like literally are like the way you can express your passions and interests, and like they can cultivate experience, and that helps you write your essays basically. So they are also kind of like assessment to the extent of your contributions later to the college. So they want to see, just like Amy said, consistency. If you did like if you already found your interest, and for me, I love dance, I love art, and those things I will, if I express my passion for it in my college applications, colleges will be like, yeah, this person will probably like join that community here, and then they'll probably be able to innovate and essentially like make it better at their, like they just want people who can make a difference at their college communities. So extracurriculars also low-key sets you apart from everybody else. It is a hard truth. It is a very cruel reality, but there are millions of people who, okay, I shouldn't say millions, but there's a lot of people like fighting for the same thing. Me and like the like super like 5,000 people, or no, 16,000 people in the nation that are fighting for a spot at Stanford when Stanford only like admits 2,000 people, right? So it's like a hard, like you gotta sell yourself. You're like in a market now. So you gotta be able to know how you can make yourself like the best. You need to put your best foot forward basically. And the way to do that is to kind of like is with your extracurriculars. And then okay, right, yeah. So extracurriculars, they are an assessment to who you are as a person, while everything else is just an assessment to what you can do academically. There are certain stuff I just want to mention. There's a little bit of strategy to like what you can do, like what you do. Like you can take a lot of things, and then based on that, you can kind of like make a profile. But I will explain like the dangers of that in a little bit. I just wanted to say that you could also there are also like certain things that, I mean, if you excel at something, then then a college might see that, and it basically almost gets you like a really big boost. Like when I was hold on. Okay. When I was looking and researching at Stanford, like they had on their first page, there were like incoming freshman who is like a poetry national champion. I'm like, whoa, I can't compete with that. So if you have like a really big like talent and you're like building that talent, you should definitely like sell yourself and like put that as like the forefront of your thing. I guess, wait, okay, hold on. There's, just like Amy said, there's academic, and then there's academic extracurriculars, there's activity or community extracurriculars, and then there's also personal extracurriculars. Academic are just like math club, for example. Community is like volunteering or like organizations, working at a food bank, sort of like that. And then personal are just what makes you like different. Like, do you like art? Do you like to be creative? Do you like architecture? Do you like speech? So it just so those are like technically the 3 different types of extracurriculars you could take. But most of all, like the things that you should be looking for in them is how you can honestly be a leader too. You need to show a lot of be able to show a lot of leadership in all the things that you do. Any extracurricular activity, oh my gosh, You need to be able to find how you can impact it, recognize your role, and recognize sort of. I'm just going to leave it off of that so I don't keep rambling. You just need to find your impact in that and find your passions. I guess some tips, and just like what Amy said, it all comes to sums out to quality over quantity. You don't want to do like 1,000 activities and then not really like have a story in any of them. You want to take like 3, right? You if you have like 3 like extra activities that you really liked, and then you can like really sell yourself to be like this like mentor, or like describe, put examples in your essays to say why you're really good at this, why you're really passionate about that. That like means so much more than just being like a dolphin and like doing things for the sake of just doing things. Like a dolphin, like you're just hopping from one thing to another. I don't know, weird analogy. I'm sorry. Grace gets me. Stop it, Samir. You're making fun of me. I'm sorry. No, okay, so yeah, a dolphin just like it just basically means that you're just like hopping from one thing to another and then dropping it and then hopping to another thing without actually taking a moment. You guys are so mean. Anyway. Anyway, yeah. Basically, I don't want to ramble on too long. Academics is just half of what colleges examine. The more meatier chunk of it is to see the character behind the numbers, behind like the information. And then, yeah, that's what colleges really look for. So it's really big. You guys want to add anything?
I wanted to say that usually in the supplemental essays, there's at least one essay that wants you to talk specifically about one of the extracurriculars that you do. So yeah, that's like something else to keep in mind, that why you should do an extracurricular, and to remember your memories in it and your accomplishments. Maybe write down your accomplishments in it too, because it's a lot of pain if you have to like have a 6-year activity and you have to list down all of your awards for it, and then yeah, you will have to write a essay on one of curriculum.
Yeah, extracurriculars are like your ammunition. Okay, sorry, another metaphor, but it's like it's like your ammunition. It's like I'm gonna put like it's for each essay. A lot of the essays are gonna ask you like what your interests are, and it depends on like what colleges are looking for is like a narrative, and not just saying I'm interested, but they want to see a story. They want to see your strife, your tribulations while you were in the activities, and how you overcome that. That's like the most important thing when you talk about extracurriculars. Any questions before we move on? Just about anything? Okay, cool. All right. I'm also the next person to talk about this. Money, yay. Okay, so college is a definite investment. Okay, great. So college scholarship opportunities, there's a lot. They are like, what is listed here is probably not even half of like what you can do, but this is stuff that we have done and we recognize. So there's a National Merit Scholarship from like, if you get like a certain high score in PSAT, Grace? Yeah. Okay.
For the national merit, top 1% in the state moves on, and then you also need to do well on your ACT later on in your junior year. So everybody should take the PSAT sophomore year. And then, well, we have to in Fargo. No, you take the ACT. But really? Oh, it's in the winter, isn't it? Is it in the winter? Yeah. Okay, never mind. My timeline's bad because junior year was so long. But it's after you do that, it's a pretty short application. You fill something out, and there's like they do it by character, but they do it by like space for their application. You write an essay, and then you kind of just say goodbye for like forever. and it just does itself. A lot of scholarships do that. I think you just submit it, and then if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
The thing about the National Merit Scholarship is that it's not guaranteed. So like, I am a National Merit Scholarship finalist, but as a finalist, that doesn't guarantee me any sort of money. So roughly half the finalists get some form of aid, whether that be from the corporation itself or college sponsorships or a separate business decides to sponsor you. I happen to be in the unlucky half, but yeah.
All right. The next one is the Presidential Scholars Program. I actually don't know much about this one, but spring? Okay. Okay. Okay, I guess that one looks good. It's not a scholarship. Okay. Okay, it's a scholarship.
Yeah, so I don't know how they do it, and I believe you have to be nominated by your school's, what do they call it, the chief school officer or something like that. And these nominations, they're made throughout the state. They get submitted to like the National Department of Education, I believe, runs it. And then they go through this extensive process to narrow it down to semifinalists and then finalists. And then I think it's a $2,500 scholarship, but it looks good on applications. That's probably the big thing that you get from the Presidential Scholars Program.
Correct me if I'm wrong, panel, but the North Dakota Merit Scholarships are like based on your ACT and SAT scores. Yes, probably. Oh, courses that we take. Okay, yeah, we made this collectively, so I don't know. Oh right, yeah, but these. Yeah. But these scholarships you should definitely take even if you're going to an out-of-state college, because if something happens, I don't know, something might happen. It's definitely good to have these.
Yeah, so that's the North Dakota Merit Scholarships. Another good one is the North Dakota University System. So they give this to students in the state based on, this is the one, Sherry, the one that you're thinking about is the North Dakota University System Scholarship.
Yeah.
They give the North Dakota scholars based on ACT and SAT scores, and that's like free tuition to any North Dakota college that you want. But these ones over here, the North Dakota Merit Scholarships, at least at Cheyenne, we offer the academic scholarship and then the CTE scholarship. Those ones are based on the courses that you take. But regardless, those two are the ones that are that still apply 6 years after you get it. So even if you don't go to that college for the first 4 years, if you do decide to go back, that would still count. The North Dakota University System, however, I think you do have to accept it up front. I got it too, but I had to reject.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Yeah, good merit aid scholarships just come with research, so you should just like prepare for that. It bases on like, it varies from school to school. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there are some schools, Stanford, for example, who do not offer merit aid. They offer, oh yeah, wait, that's a high five. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, so so I guess Rochester is off of merit, but there are schools like Columbia and Stanford who only are based off of need-based, because everybody there has merit. So,
no Ivies give merit scholarships.
yeah. There are local external scholarships. These are the ones that you really need to dig through. You just need to dig through them. There are certain like engines that you can use to help you find scholarships, but other than that, like these are kind of on your own. I mean, I did like a bunch of essay competitions, so that's where the bulk of my aid kind of came from a little bit. Oh yeah, do the FAFSA. It's written in capital letters, but just do the FAFSA. I didn't get anything from it. Did you guys get anything from it?
You don't get anything from the FAFSA itself. The FAFSA, the school gives you the aid. Okay, so the FAFSA is kind of complicated. It's run by the government, and if they give you an award, they'll give it to the school, and the school is the one that hands out the award based on
Right. You can
based on
get a
information. You
loan, a
don't-
grant,
yes,
or
it's a loan or a grant if you have enough need.
Yeah, so the FAFSA is kind of horrible in the way that it's set up. What it does is it estimates how much your parents can give if they burn through all their savings and whatever they can possibly give that they're living on. So like my parents like had a 90K on the FAFSA. They can't do that. Like that was not an option. So because they want a retirement. So the FAFSA is like more like here's like the maximum they can give out. Colleges look at that and like change it depending on how they think about it. And it's just a good way of the colleges knowing how much your parents make it.
Yeah, but simply put, do the FAFSA. Even if you don't get anything, do the FAFSA. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess after this year, it's kind of like after
For
your
financial aid, it is required, but if you're not going for
Yeah.
financial aid from the school, then you don't need it.
yeah.
I don't see why you would do that.
We don't need to talk about work studies are also an option, but I think those are actually like you need to be in the college to do those. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So those are like scholarships that you can, or not scholarships, but there's money you can earn while working in like college, like as a librarian or like as a like cafeteria person. Those are just like in college like ways you can get money. And then finally Questbridge. Questbridge is I'm just gonna read it off. Is a college scholarship application process that helps outstanding low-income high school seniors gain admission and full 4-year scholarships to the nation's most selective colleges. And they have 48 partners. I think Stanford. I looked this up.
So low
Like
income,
low income is like
65
below. It's below 65.
65K.
Yes, below 65K.
is like the highest. you can go.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're pretty strict on this.
Yeah, so I know that I did the research. I know that Stanford and UPenn and Columbia are definitely partners. I don't think Rochester is one. I don't think that Yale is one too. Yeah, Yale is one too. I don't think any of the UC schools. Nope. Nope. Yeah, you need a. It's just at 48 colleges. Grace actually did this, so I'm gonna let her like kind of go off a
Yeah.
little bit.
So Questbridge is kind of like a two-part thing. So there's one for juniors and there's one for seniors. So the one for juniors is like the Questbridge Scholars Program. That's more of a pre-college geared toward thing. And it gives you a good benchmark about whether or not you can make it for your senior year when it actually matters. You don't have to have made it in your junior year in order to make it your senior year. It's just I didn't make it my junior year. And then I applied my senior year. The thing about Questbridge is that yeah, like what I mentioned earlier, they're pretty strict when it comes to the requirements for the eligibility. So low income, they define it as household incomes that are at or below 65K. And then I just didn't fit those requirements and they threw me out of the pile. Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of like your typical college application too. So you have your personal information you fill out, you have your essays that you need to write in, you have your transcript that you need to send, and then your extracurriculars that you got to write down, all the good stuff. And yeah. Yes, yeah. So the deadline for Questbridge is it's basically early action, kind of like if you make it through. It's binding you to that college, and it gives you that scholarship and the financial aid that you need to go to that college, but it is binding.
Kind of Grace just said what I wanted to say. I have a really good friend that got into the program, and something that I didn't know beforehand is very early. It's before the early action and early decision. So if you think you can qualify for this program, I really suggest that you look into it because it's a 4-year full tuition. She gets room and board, and like you basically go to college for free. And if you happen into a dream school of yours, like with full tuition, that's like the best day of your life, right? And so yeah, to look into it early in August, your senior year, and to begin a little earlier than you or early decisions that's necessary for Questbridge, and I think that's maybe the most important out that.
So just to summarize, scholarships, we can't really help you that much by just like, aside from just telling you what we kind of know and what we kind of did. So the research is literally all up to you guys. You can ask, I know schools, I mean, Cheyenne has like a whole page of just like a very up-to-date, like scholarship find, but it's really hard because it's really like selective. It's like, are you a plumber? No, I'm not a plumber. What do you mean? And so I can't apply for that one. So it's kind of, yeah, this is a hard topic, but I mean, we're all making it to college, so we're fine. So. And you guys will be too. All right, yeah.
Any other questions?
All right, let's talk about selecting colleges to apply. So if we move on to the next slide, what we're going to start out with is by dividing colleges into three parts called safety schools, match schools, and reach schools. To determine whether a school is a safety school, a match school, or a reach school, you're going to want to check the average GPA and ACT, SAT scores for students that are attending. And one way to do that is by going to the common data set. You can just do that by searching up like Harvard Common Data Set and just look through all the information that is in there. And colleges are also going to take into consideration your activities for the admission, so that can help determine where to put these schools. And for example, we can see NDSU is going to be a safety school because they admit like 90% of their students. The University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities can be a safety school or a match school potentially, if they're like 50% something admission rate. And obviously something like MIT is going to be a reach school where it's going to be unlikely for you to get in for literally like everybody. And a potential way to divide your college list is choosing like having 25% safety schools, having 50% match schools, and by having 25% reach schools as well. But of course, the most important thing to remember is that everybody needs safety schools, and that overconfidence is going to kill you. So don't only apply to Ivy League schools because that can potentially end up backfiring like hugely on you in the future. One talks about majors versus overall. For example, Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana is a lower ranked school for many majors, but however, for engineering, Purdue is actually a top 10 engineering school. And that can show you that even if a college doesn't have higher overall rankings, one particular program may be better ranked than others. So you might want to consider that when applying. And however, the most important thing, or one extremely important thing, is the fact that rankings aren't everything. So even if you go to like a lower ranked school, that's not going to ruin your prospects for the future. Everyone will still be able to do fine. And as a side note, if we talk about,
yeah, wait, I want to just like, it's on the side. Okay, I just wanted to kind of help gauge. This is like back to like the reach, whatever schools. So I just want to give everybody a gauge of like how many schools each of us applied to, just for your information. Grace, how many schools did you apply to?
8?
I applied to 16.
I also did 16 schools, which was probably too much. Like I probably could have limited that to 10, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's expensive to apply for colleges. Like it can definitely get pricey. Like each school has like their own, like it's like $50, $55 to apply or $75 to apply. Columbia is 85 apparently. So just you gotta it's kind of like the more colleges you apply for, the better chance you're gonna get, obviously. But it's fine if you are very selective. I mean, actually, it might be smarter that way. So we all apply to 16, 14, and 8.
All right, let's go to this slide, which talks about in-state schools versus out-of-state schools. So if you're going to apply to a public schools admit most of their students from inside that school. So if you apply to UNC, obviously most of their students are going to be from North Carolina. And private schools generally, I don't think they differentiate between in-state or out-of-state. They don't care. They'll take your money either way. They're not obligated to accept any in-state students in that way. And if we talk about like one specific school, the University of Texas at Austin, is required by Texas law to make sure that 90% of its admitted class are from in-state students. So that just might be something important that could play a factor. All right, and ultimately other factors to consider when making your college list. These are going to be parts of every school, like the cost, run the net cost calculator to figure out how expensive it's going to be for your family. If you find out that a school is going to be too expensive, then you probably shouldn't apply to it because that can take away a lot of valuable time. There's also going to be, again, individual majors versus the overall ranking. There's going to be the location of the school, what the campus life is like for the students there, the housing and food situations like residence halls and dining halls, what like the campus itself is like with the buildings and the environment, the weather, where it's located, how much scholarship and aid they might be potentially be giving you, and maybe even if you care, like athletics as well. And so if you're like stuck trying to make a decision on where to apply, if you have qualms, you can always contact admissions officers with questions or current students as well. Campus tours and college websites are also fantastic ways to seek out more information. And college search and organizational engines that exist are the College Board and the CAPEX. Does anyone want to elaborate on this?
Yeah, it's like college stuff too. So you know, you have your College Board. They do like this what do they call it? The big search or like big college search engine thing. Where you just put in your scores for ACT or SAT and your GPA, and then they'll automatically go through. Depending on the schools that you pick to add to your list, they'll rank them for you as like these are your safety schools. These are most likely going to be your match schools. These are most likely going to be your reach schools. Same thing with CAPEX and College Vine. They all do similar things. You put in your information, you put down a list of what colleges you're interested in, and they'll organize it for you.
Not only that, CAPEX, I love CAPEX. Oh, I do pronounce that weird. I spell CAPEX. Okay. CAPEX also helps with scholarship finds. So yeah, so they'll help you find scholarships too. You do need to dig deep, and like that's the whole like. It's kind of hard, but like they do help you find scholarships. And I don't know about College Board, but CAPEX will also kind of actively try to help you find colleges. So when going into this, you might know some colleges you're going to apply to, but then there are also the colleges that you have not even thought about. And that's CAPEX can help you like kind of reach out and like kind of expand your knowledge to other schools too.
One thing that I forgot to mention about College Board is that with every College Board test that you take, whether they be AP or the SAT, there's going to be like this little thing that you fill out where it's like, do you want to opt in for the college student search service? I think they call it. That's kind of like spam mail. So I mean, like, yes, it's cool if you don't know where you want to go and you're not familiar with what opportunities are out there. Cool, because yeah, they'll just like automatically give it to you. But if you already have a general idea and you're good, maybe don't opt in because you won't stop getting emails from these random colleges and it gets really annoying. So yeah.
Yeah, just prepare for that. You're gonna get a lot of spam mail, like starting your junior. It's annoying. It's annoying, but it's whatever because it helps me. I don't know actually.
The best part is that it doesn't stop because I'm still getting it.
Yeah, I'm getting like I'm literally. Yeah, like we already got into college, and for me, I'm still getting like apply here, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, literally like Carroll School. Yeah, it's like apply here, and I'm like, I'm not.
One thing that also I think works for how like student life specifically is that if you Google like what's it like at blank, it works because I like Googled that for like Carnegie Mellon, and it was like people compete here to see how little sleep they got, and I was like, that does not seem like fun. Let's not go there.
Yeah, I just looked up videos to help me research. So.
I think there's one more thing. I discovered this after I got into college. There is also niche ratings for colleges, and they usually give like a score for campus life, social life, like academics, professors, I don't know, classroom, with all of that. So you can look at that. I think maybe one more thing is to have an open mind when you select colleges. don't hate or love a college just for one thing. Like you can love a college or hate a college, but keep in mind that there's definitely aspect that you will discover about colleges that you did not previously know when you're researching. Keeping an open mind, I think, will not. I think I have a good 8 minutes, so I'll make this fast. So I think I have the most lighthearted part of the college admission process. This is the setting of this is usually around April when you have the results for all of the colleges you applied. So once we're in, so there are college visits for almost every single college in the United States. So you will receive emails once you get your college admission letter. You will get that on the day of it will say on the website of a college. Say you like when I applied to Georgetown, it says we will release on like March 31st, something like that. I'll get an email for that. I check my portal on that day and it tells you if you got admitted or not. Once you are admitted, it usually tells you that they have a college open house on it's usually around April, I think end of April, right? Is when the college visits are. And I think you need to pay for your own trip to the college. But once you're there with your admission letter, they will let you in and give you tours. I did not go because I had prom on the same day. But if you go, I think it's a really good opportunity to learn about the school. And especially if it's a school that you've never been to before, like maybe that part of the country visited. So yeah, to think about that and to look into if you can or want to do a college visit. So visiting the campus, will meet potential classmates. All of the people there will be professors at the college, along with people who have been admitted, and you will discuss with deans and professors on programs at the school. And if it's a school that you know that you want to go already, you will go with a mind that, oh, I will meet the deans and professors and maybe find a class that I want to choose for my first year. Oh yeah, along with college visits, there's definitely research. There's like further research that you can do now with a pile of colleges that you got into. You can look at that so comprehensive research. Consider maybe if this is a liberal arts college, liberal arts colleges usually are smaller in class size. Like if you got into one of these, you need to consider if you like the environment of a liberal arts college or do you like university. And then what this is university specialize in, if you know what major you want to study, then choose a college that offers the best, like one of their best majors is that major. But if you don't know what college you want to, what major you want to go to, maybe like choose a college that is well-rounded in everything and that allows you to explore your interests at the college along with eventually choosing a major that you want to. And one thing to mention is I know it in China when you do like the Gaokao and then when you have your admission, it's usually you are destined for a major. But in the United States, that's not the case. Choose your major usually at the end of your sophomore year. So that's why I say you should look at what the university specializes in. And if you don't have a major in mind, that's okay. You will try to figure that out in your sophomore year.
Yeah, a huge factor actually in applying is looking at how, like, if you know what major you want, looking at if you can get into that major. So, pro tip, you don't always need to apply for the major you want to go in. You can apply for something a lot smaller that also fits you and then transfer into it. But some colleges like Purdue doesn't let people transfer into their computer science or their engineering majors. So you need to apply directly to those. So make sure when you're applying that you can swap your major. Lots of Ivy just say apply, figure it out by sophomore year. I don't know any other colleges.
I think what adding on what Samir said, maybe do research beforehand to see if you can transfer. And if you can transfer for that college, then also keep that in mind and keep in mind that you can change your major until your sophomore year. And I think that's something that to consider once you have your admissions. And also where the college is at. I'm a person who likes to reflect on my environment a lot. So wherever I'm situated, if there's too much snow, I don't know if I want that. I do like Fargo, but I don't know if I want that much snow for the next 4 years. So yeah, that's like one thing you want to consider if do you want to like be in Texas? Say if you got into a university in Texas, do you like the warm weather? Do you like maybe I don't know the politics there? Do you like the the environment? Yeah, like all of that and to know like if you are considering New York, are you ready for a big city? If you're considering I don't know somewhere else that do you like the snow? Do you like a smaller environment? All of that is something to consider. And college visits do very well to tell you if you like the environment. You usually stay there for 2 days and you will do your best to figure out at the college visit if you like both the college and the city that you will be. So one more thing to consider is your financial aid. You will usually get your financial aid notification along with your admission letter. So you will see if you got full tuition, need tuition, how much money you will get, or you don't have tuition at all. So based on that, you can consider with maybe consult and think about it yourself, how much money you can contribute to the college along with liking the college. Like I think there's maybe a 50-50 chance, do I like the college and can I afford the college? Those are two things that you should consider. And I would recommend that go to a college that you are able to take the financial consequences of. And if there are consequences after accounting for aid, is the school affordable is definitely, I think, a question that needs to be asked when you're making your college decisions. And only if financial aid is met, I think it is the college is really worthy for you because like what saying college is really just one part of your life. You don't want to jeopardize your entire bank account for the for the rest of your life for 4 years.
So one thing that's really important to look at the financial cost is if you need a graduate degree. So if you need a graduate degree to go into the field that you want, your undergrad matters a lot. For me, I'm going into computer science. I don't need a master's. I don't need anything over a bachelor's. So I can just go to wherever I want. But if you are going into grad school, you really need to look further than your first 4 years because what matters is your graduate school, not your.
Yeah, so what Samira is alluding to then is law school and med school. If you want to be a doctor, a surgeon, scientist, or a lawyer, government politician, all of that, you need to look on to graduate school. So yeah, graduate school is definitely more important for vocations like those lawyers and doctors. Question? So this is like general questions now. We're done with our process. Look, right on time.
Yay.
Yeah. One more minute. Go. Oh, no more questions? Thank you.
Oh, I want to say again, thank you so much. That is a lot of information. I think for a person like me, never attend high school in here and never apply to college in here, I learned really a lot. That is so much different from our old experience, I guess. So thank you again, guys. We are going to post the slide and the recording to the WeChat group, right? And after the
Yes.
workshop. Okay.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are going
so-
to post the video on our UCAFM YouTube channel, and so that we can go over this again. Yeah, and
Yep.
yeah.
Hopefully that will benefit more people from
Yeah.
their presentation. All right. And last thing, so I want to say congratulations again for finishing up your high school and moving to your favorite college. And that also means you guys become the veterans for our mess club. And to say thank you and we appreciate your work, we prepared a little package for each one of you. So we'll bring it up.
No, we are going to take a picture together later. Okay.
Yeah, and we will have a picture, group picture.